Garry Talks Film, kindly supported by Grace on Demand Skillnet and the Rap Commission.
Bang! Lights out. Everything stops and the lights went completely out of the Royal Albert Hall.
We got special permission to black out the Royal Albert Hall,
From
which
the
they
Borough
won't
of
let you do.
Westminster gave us
30 seconds. Exactly 30
Right.
seconds.
On this week's Part 2 episode of Garry Talks Film with Eímear Noone and Craig Stewart Garfinkle, Eímear brings us behind the scenes of the scariest piece of music she ever had to write for a major event recently in London. Craig lifts the lid on his exciting new collaboration with acclaimed filmmaker Kirsten Sheridan. But first, I ask Eímear for her thoughts on directors like Martin Scorsese, who often use iconic songs as the backbone of their films rather than bringing in a composer to score the movie.
That has its own value. And
That's different.
it's a different thing.
Yeah.
When you have a soundtrack like that, the soundtrack brings in, for better or for worse, its own baggage and its own zeitgeist and its own thing. And when you're doing a film like Casino and you're trying to set a time and place, nothing will set a time and place better than a song of that time and place.
Although I did see that horror movie.
Shutter Island.
Yes.
Yes.
I felt that needed to be scored. I really did. He used a lot of wonderful contemporary art music composers. It felt like it needed to be scored to me.
Well, there are things that you can do. There are definitely things that a composer can do.
But when you're working with song, that's a different story. I felt that but it was too close to score to actual. It was too close for me. Just my opinion. As they say, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. But it was too close to contemporary horror scoring to have the effect that song and soundtrack have, that it felt like it needed to be sculpted around what was happening on screen for me.
Yeah.
The Shutter Island experience for me, it felt too disjointed. It felt like it didn't have cohesion. A song, when you use songs like that, to me, it's like a quilt, and that feels good. It just seems like it should be more like, as you say, a fabric or a tapestry. Like it should have an interwoven kind of quality to it, rather than otherwise. It's like, where am I? What is this? What's the?
Yeah, you can't have the experience of interwoven themes from different parts of the score that are being used to manipulate the audience. Like Eímear was talking about with that climax scene from E.T., there are all these other themes that you've heard that are being woven in on top of each other that are evocative of all the emotions that those themes have carried since the beginning of the movie. Whereas if you're just taking cut and paste of different pieces of music, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's what you miss. That's what you lose.
I felt that Shutter Island lacked a cohesion or an identity because of that, even though the composers that he chose and the individual pieces I really liked.
Yeah, you could end up with like a great music video for that piece of music.
Yes, it's like a bunch of music videos.
Yeah, but it's to have that thread running through.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly.
But even to sculpt the scene, to have the music really serve the scene. Otherwise, it's kind of a music video.
One of the things that always gets asked for us is like, how do you write a score together? This is a perfect example of that. When, each of us might write a specific theme or a specific scene, but then we get towards the end of the film or towards a certain part of the film, you've got this character and that character, and now all of a sudden the themes from those characters are being woven together. So even if I'm scoring that particular scene, it could be going from one of my themes to one of Eímear's themes, interwoven in a way that serves the picture. Then we get to the end of it, so sometimes I say, I don't remember who wrote what.
All right.
I'm going to say something about Craig, something that you're much stronger at than me, and I hope someday I'll be as good as you at, which is you're so good at actually sculpting the score around the art of scoring as separate from composition. This is one of the things that, like I was telling you, I'm going to. In 3 weeks, I'm going to San Francisco Symphony to do the score from Frozen to picture, which I never normally do those things. That's not what I do, but it is a valid experience to see the art of scoring live, which is how a composer sculpts the music to serve the picture in a way it's kind of like opera in a way to me. You do that really, really well. the way the ebb and flow of the score to serve the story and the dialogue, almost like the dialogue is a vocalist.
Is that a jazz thing though, in the sense that you can go off to a certain degree, and then bring it back in moments?
Well,
and it has this confidence.
So first off, I will preface this by saying I hear everything as jazz.
Yeah,
okay.
True.
It is true. It like I'm listening to Bach and I'm hearing it from the jazz
annoying.
chords.
Very annoying.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
It'll sketch Chopin just to really annoy me. It's very annoying.
But it's just that the harmonic language and the way I hear harmonic language is kind of this vertical versus more horizontal.
Yes. Yeah.
Horizontal is the linear line, which I definitely hear and definitely, but I also have this thing where I hear it vertically in the way those lines. So you can have multiple jazz lines.
You're also a guitarist, so that's more of a guitarist thing, is to hear things
vertically rather than
like
whereas
chords.
When Eímear's sitting in an orchestra, she's playing the flute.
I definitely am not playing it like this, though. Definitely not.
That's like a big burrito.
Yeah, that's a giant burrito. Yeah, I'm at Subway. Yeah.
Come on, don't you play?
No, I've always heard things contrapunctly in a linear fashion.
Yeah.
Much more. Yeah. And this comes, I hear this as well, but this is to the forefront and this is the pillars that come second. This to me, this comes from this, whereas for you, this comes from this.
So for those listening, we're talking about horizontal versus vertical.
Yeah, it's we think in the opposite way.
Although not that we can't think in the other way, it's just that
that's our natural.
That's our natural. It's where we go to first. Is I'm listening. I'm thinking the harmonic structure of the music, and then the melodic structure of the music usually is dictated by the harmonic structure. Whereas Eímear will write the melodic structure.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily melodic. It's more linear. So it could be more like counterpoint rather than melody. So it's okay. Never mind. Moving on.
Moving on. We're gonna get
it's lines going this way rather than blocks going this way.
Although when you're and the thing is, when Eímear's reading a score, for those who don't know what a score is or how that is, she's reading 40 or 50 lines at once.
Well, that's a lot.
It's
not quite 40 or 50.
Well, how many staves? Maybe 30 staves on a big score.
A line being for different instruments, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah, when Eímear's looking, she's looking at all the parts at once.
So one beat, if you've one beat, one moment in time, it's going all the way down. So I have a one beat for everybody, all the way from top to the bottom.
I never think of it like that.
Yeah.
You're actually all the different things that all the instruments are doing at that one moment in time.
Yes, exactly.
And when you're the composer, that's what we do is we see everything at once.
Yeah.
And you're looking at, okay, you got traditionally, 4 staves at the top. Each one of those staves is 2 flutes, 2 oboes, 2 clarinets, 2 bassoons. That's just the top 4 staves. And then you get into,
Okay, now you're getting into too much.
Not too much stuff, yeah.
But I think it's good for people to know how complicated this process is.
Just imagine one, like, bah, just that. I'll have that for, and people are playing different notes in different ways, all the way down. So I'm looking at the big page I have.
To the basses.
From the flutes at the top to the basses at the bottom. I'm seeing all of that at once. And then it goes that way. Time goes this way.
Yeah.
That's
I'd like to think of it.
That's why the pages are...
Yeah. Whereas everyone else is reading one page every minute or two. Eímear's reading one page every 15 seconds, depending on the tempo and how dense it is. I always look at it as it's like you're on you're a sports team where you may have all these people on the field and that's all the musicians, but each one of them has to do their particular part and play their particular part in a particular way within 1 or 2 milliseconds of when they need to do it. Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart.
So what if you're...
Oh God, it's a horrible thought.
Well, what if you're doing a live show? So you're conducting and you notice during the live performance that one of the performers on an instrument is just not hitting their mark.
Oh, that's
How do you because it's live. How do you?
Mhm.
What I always say is you don't pay Eímear for when everything's going right. You pay her for that moment when it goes off the rails and you need somebody who can actually wrestle
Can we
an
not
entire...
talk about this 3 weeks before?
So you've watched
There's wood there. I'm gonna
a
touch
2-hour rehearsal for a 90-minute show.
Yes, depending on it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes with a 20-minute break. United States, every country, every country has different union rules. Depends on the type of project. This being a project, this particular type of project. I mean, it's the San Francisco Symphony. I was with them last March. They're absolutely spectacular, superb. They can do it.
Yeah.
But there can't be any more mistakes in rehearsal, let alone the performance, you know?
They basically, the rule is they have to play it at least once or you can't play it in concert.
Yeah.
Okay.
So most of the time, if it's like, okay, read it down once.
And you can't go over time.
You can't go, you can't go over time. You can't do anything. It's like...
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
It can't happen.
If you're hearing someone who's not
Okay.
hitting their mark, like, do you just pretend it's not happening and just get on with it for the next hour and a bit? Or
Your job is to figure out...
my job is to figure out who's not hitting their mark and why. And this has to happen within a second or less. And they'll be straight with, I need to help them, get them back on track. So I will be in their face with the eye contact. And I'll be like, straight up, I'll let them know that I hear them. And I'll give them a direction to get them back on track and fix it right away before anyone notices.
wow.
Yeah.
So that's...
No, there are times. Eímear told me that there was this one concert I was at, and I won't mention who it was, what orchestra it was, but that the cellos had come in the wrong spot. And it was a very contrapuntal, very complex piece of music. And the harmonic structure was such that it wasn't me, being a musician, sitting in the audience, did not know. Eímear did what she had to do to get them back into the right place, because even though it didn't make a difference there, in about 5 or 6 measures, when the harmonic structure changes, those cellos are still in the wrong spot. Now it's gonna be noticed. I'm sorry, I'm saying this, and Eímear's going.
Well,
I've got to do this in
live performance. I mean, you can have lots of concerts go perfectly, but also it depends on. We have things like, we call it a red light orchestra. You have orchestras that are, so in rehearsal, and then all of a sudden you have the red light is on or the audience is in, and they go from here to they're
It's like that burst of adrenaline.
You have the opposite. You have the ones that are
choke.
That was me as an actor. I was great in rehearsals, and then the real thing is
then you have the ones they peak in rehearsal, and then suddenly you're like, where are you? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Today, because things are so expensive, we get less and less rehearsal time all the time. So it's especially for crossover projects and non-classical projects where they want to get it done fast. And players are amazing. Orchestral musicians are ridiculous. They're absolutely
the level that they work at is
shocking.
Yeah.
They're so, when you think of it. People think we rehearse a lot. If we were to rehearse as much as people thought, ticket prices would be thousands of euro. Orchestral musicians might do 3 concerts in a week, and that's millions of notes. Imagine practicing all of that. They can't. And when we send music ahead of time, a couple of people will glance over to see if there are any problem areas, like the concertmaster, maybe the principal percussion, the harpist normally, maybe the piano, maybe if there's guitar. A couple of section leaders maybe, but they can't give it a huge amount of time because they have another concert the next day or 2 days later or the day before or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's also a testament to just how important the conductor is. It's like the same set of notes on a page with the same markings can be done so many different ways. The absolute clarity of the conductor is the one that actually makes it all be cohesive and work, so that they're all working towards the same goal in the same way, when they only have the communication of that one time to go through it, and then you're in front of the audience. And
then I'm gone, and then they have somebody else the next day. And
but
then it's like, it's crazy. What we do is insane.
But at that same thing, it's like the fact that they can do that is amazing. And we don't write easy music.
Mm.
Even when they're doing a concert of, let's say, repertoire, they've all played Beethoven 5 before. They've all played, Schubert's on. These are things that they've already know, but meanwhile they'll get more rehearsal for that.
Yeah.
Because your maestro comes in and does that. Then we do a concert of video game music, and the music is just as hard, if not even more difficult to physically play.
No, depends on the program.
Depends on the
repertoire, and depends on.
Okay.
No, but like, let's be honest. Like, your music is excellent.
Thank you.
Well, I wouldn't say that now.
She wouldn't.
No.
Why not?
I will.
Because I wouldn't. Excellent is a big word.
No, it's not.
I'm Irish, so I can't use words.
I'm American. I'll take it.
You just gotta listen. Switch off that you're associated with it, and just take it for what it is.
Oh well, I can't do that. No, sorry. Yeah, you can ask the American. He's American. He's.
I'm Irish now.
Yeah, you do.
I'm officially an Irish filmmaker now.
Oh, congrats! That's right. You did become an Irish citizen.
I'm an Irish citizen and an Irish filmmaker.
Yep.
And just represented Ireland at the Newport Beach Film Festival as an Irish filmmaker.
Yes, and you were part of winning awards as well at Newport?
Yeah. The film I directed won the Outstanding International Documentary Award.
Your shout out to Galway Man
Enda O'Quinine, the unsinkable entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
That was a horrible pronunciation.
My French is so bad.
Word.
Yes, I know. I try to avoid saying the name of the film because I really.
What about the other movie then as well that also won an award that she scored?
Oh, right. We scored Boccia. Well, I'm not. Now that one I've got.
Yeah.
Boccia, which means drowned in Irish.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that was,
it won. Produced by amazing Siobhan Gara and directed by Ruan.
And written by Sheena Lambert.
Class, you went over to Newport and Boccia and The Unsinkable both won.
It was really fun to be surrounded by all my fellow Irish filmmakers and all the Irish talent.
Yeah, but you were representing Galway.
I was representing Galway,
yeah. I mean, like, Enda is outrageous.
Yeah. Oh, he's mad. He's absolutely mad.
Outrageous.
And there's so the guy sailed around the world alone as part of the Van Dyke Globe, which is the most dangerous challenging yacht race there is. You start in France and you end in France, but you have to go around the world in the meantime. On your own. Finish with everything you start with. No outside help. The Volvo race. But no, they stop and then they have help and they have crews it's more like there's no any of that. Enda really is the one who directed the film.
Yeah.
Because he was the only one on the boat.
Yeah, with the camera. Yeah.
With the cameras and with everything else. But then we came in afterwards, gave it music and put it together in a way that a structure to tell his story.
You loved the story.
I love the story. I'm a sailor. And so seeing a story about a sailor, I will say we had 3 screenings.
By the way, he used to sail competitively. He used to do the Newport Ensenada race.
Yep. And I was on the sailing team at UCLA and there was a period of time in my life where had I not been a musician, maybe I would have gone for the U.S. Olympic team. I was really that was my thing, is I was a sailor. And so when I saw this movie, I went, oh my God, this is amazing. And what I will say is we had 3 screenings. 2 were at yacht clubs in Newport Beach, which was really great. And then we had the big one at the big theater with everybody at the festival. Now, I will say the one in the big theater was amazing from just being immersed by it. I realized that, I'm feeling a little bilious now because seeing the motion of the boat on that screen, like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was maybe a little too much camera motion there, Craig. But that was amazing, and hearing it. But then at the yacht club, even though it was a smaller screen and the sound wasn't there, people were cheering, standing ovations. It's like, okay, everyone will get the film, everyone will love the film, but if you're a sailor, it's going to hit you on a visceral level. And that was what...
Because Enda got into trouble out there.
Well, you really feel you're there with him.
Yeah.
Like, it's really well done.
When his boat is damaged, you hear the audience gasp because they all know how hard it was and the trials he went through, and he had to qualify, and then he had to buy, that now his dream, is over. And it's what he does after that for me, which is so a total of, I think it was 100, I want to say it was either 143 or 147 days at sea on his own by the time he finished the trip.
Unreal.
That's impressive.
He's the real deal. I mean,
it ain't bragging if you done it.
Yeah, that's Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman. It ain't bragging if you done it. But he's Enda is somebody who's extremely charismatic. I think maybe it's just me, or is it other Irish people who were a little bit skeptical of people who are very charismatic? But he's bloody well done it.
Yeah.
You know,
he makes the movie because of his charisma.
Stop.
Yeah.
His
It's like
charisma is
him sitting there talking to the camera, and even the costume changes. He's got like pirate hats and things that he
Santa
brought,
hats,
and things he brought on the boat, just thinking, I want to have some fun while I'm doing this. So, if I'm doing video,
to make himself laugh. While he was on his own out in the middle of the vast ocean.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what a character.
Yeah.
And he really is. He really is that, and he really did the things.
Yeah.
You
And was he
know?
over there for the screening?
He was.
Brilliant.
He
Brought his
was, and
kids and
brought his
everything.
kids, and we just had the greatest time. And right now he is ever the adventurer. He's in Antarctica because, as part of this adventure group, they've been following the life and the work of Shackleton, Ernest Shackleton, and the boat Endeavour. And they found the boat on the bottom of the Antarctic. And so he was going there to basically see it and see where Shackleton was. And he's been sending pictures and things like that. Like, oh my gosh.
I think he's fallen in love with the boat. No,
there's a whaling ship that was rusted out, and he sent me a picture of this whaling ship that's been rusted out, sitting on just there. He said, I don't know, maybe I want to.
This would be the Galway man that falls in love with an old rusty whaling ship in Antarctica. This is Galway, people.
That's Galway, yeah.
Now
he does have a, I want to say it's a early 1900s Galway hooker that he has in Galway Bay that we're supposed to go out on.
Brilliant. Wow,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing.
Anyway, so that's that story, and how I became an Irish filmmaker was by accident. Is that Eímear and I got hired to write the music for the film, and I took one look at it. It wasn't for the money, I can tell you that, but it was more a matter of I took one look at it and I said, "Okay, can you just get me all the footage so I can just see what's there, because this is so close to really telling the story." And I don't mean that in a way, I don't want to sound egotistical about that, but it just spoke to me. And fortunately for us and for him, whatever, he said, okay, because he didn't know.
Yeah.
He didn't know. He's not a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Cut it down, about half the length. Not that the stuff that was there wasn't interesting, but it's like just to make sure that the story was succinct and told in a way.
I think the fact that you're a sailor is what made the difference.
Exactly, because I understood.
Yeah.
Now, I will say there's the filmmaking right now, we're looking for a distributor for it. It's hard to find a distributor for a film of such a specific thing, but I think the universal message of the film is going to eventually find that. But when we do get a distributor, there's a few scenes in there where it's Enda talking to the camera, and he's telling you about what he just did. And he's talking about, well, I was hove to, and I put the boat on the side by filling up one of the ballast tanks. And then I had to step out onto the rudder to free the halyard that was caught around the thing. And he's telling it to you. I love the fact that you're telling me, but over this, we need to see, because if you're not a sailor,
I have no idea what you just said.
You can't visualize him taking the boat, filling it up in such a way, literally putting the boat on its side in the middle of a storm so that he can walk and step onto the transom, onto the back of the boat to reach down and free a rope that's wrapped around something and keeping it so that he can't steer.
And no one to help.
And nobody to help. And if you call for help, you're out of the race.
Oh, okay.
And the nearest help is one of the other sailors.
Yeah.
It's like there's nobody else out there. This is the Southern Ocean, and so that's the only thing I would change about the film, is that there's 2 or 3 times in the course of this where I'm sitting there going, Enda, he was 58 when he did this race. You're 58, and you're oh my God, not to mention the fact that if you fall off the boat, that's it. Yeah. Nobody's ever going to see you again.
What a legend. I love him. He's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So going from fires to water.
Yeah.
Being based in the west of Ireland works for you. You love it. It's home.
Yes.
It doesn't inhibit you in any way because you get to go all over the world, bring your work
as long as we're near an airport.
Yeah.
it's a great place to come back to.
Yeah.
We don't rely on the west of Ireland for our living, but we do in other ways for our living.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think makes the West great?
I mean, I'm just going to talk about just creatively. And maybe this is going back to me as a child in East Galway. I just think imagination thrives and creativity thrives. You remember the poem we had for our Leaving Cert, Patrick Kavanagh, O Stony Grey Soil of Monaghan. There's a line in there, you flung a ditch on my vision.
Yeah.
And I feel, you flung a ditch on my vision of beauty, love and truth. O Stony Grey Soil of Monaghan, you burgled my bank of youth. But it's you flung a ditch on my vision. I felt like growing up in the countryside, nobody flung a ditch on my vision. It was like the wide openness of thought. Like I could envision anything. I could imagine anything. Everyone around was either a school teacher or a farmer or whatever. Most of the careers that I saw on telly weren't there anyway.
Yeah.
So I could be any of the other things in my head, But it was also just being able to go for a walk and visualize worlds, just being able to have a lack of sound pollution, not noise pollution, light pollution. My mum was saying the other day, hopefully they'll be bringing the street lamps up the road. And I was like, no, please, no. Recently, I had to write a piece for the concert we did at the Royal Albert Hall a couple of weeks ago. It was a scripted concert, wonderful director, Will Breton. I did it with the amazing Danny Robbins, who has a show called Uncanny on the BBC, where he interviews people about their real life ghost stories. Danny is fabulous. He was brilliant to work with. And it was an in-house production from the Royal Albert Hall. So the Royal Albert Hall staff and team was a big deal for everybody. It's their own production. And Will had scripted everything, but at the end he was, Eímear writes the scariest piece in the world to finish the concert. And this would tell it about the scariest piece in the world. I was like, well, that took you one line. I mean, well done, Will. This is, and he goes, I know, right? Scariest piece in the world. Okay. So I went, on my usual bit of a walked around the house. We have a dead tree in the backyard. The crows all land on first in the morning. And I looked at the dead tree with the crows on it. I'm thinking, what is the scariest thing in the world to me? Now, I'm a parent, so the scariest thing in the world has to do with my kids and my family. So we'll park that because that's not going into this piece. But what, when I was a kid, were the scariest things in the world? So I'm walking around and it's getting dark and I'm thinking there's no light pollution. And, when you can't see the stars and you've cloud cover, it's really dark in the countryside in Ireland. And then you can hear all the things. And, if you can hear a fox, it's a pretty weird sound.
Yeah.
And I was thinking there was always those stories of the Banshee. And there was always, did you hear about Mrs. So-and-so up the road? Oh, Mrs. Mullins. She was a child. She heard the Banshee. And the next day the grandmother died, and you're a child and you're like, oh my God, what if I hear the Banshee? Oh my God. So I started thinking about that. And then I was thinking about the Keeners, the Banquinche.
Oh,
and the Keeners.
I only know the Banshee now, I guess.
Then I was asking my mother about the Keeners. Oh yeah, the Keeners. Yeah, the Keeners. When I was a child, the Keeners were still going and the Keeners would show up. They were an awful nuisance.
Who are the Keeners?
The Keeners, the Banquinche. So the Keeners would show up dressed in black. Often could be one person, it could be one woman. The tradition was 3 dressed in black. And in the old days, they'd have a black veil as well. And they would show up and they'd cry and they'd wail and they would express the grief of the family. Oh. And they'd just wail and wail and wail. There was some sean-nós attached with it as well. There was a kind of thing that went, oh no. And they would wail and they'd do the oh no over the body. But the screaming, the wailing, the Keeners, and the Keeners would get paid as well. It was an unofficial, but the family would pass them a few quid for showing up. But it stopped in around the 50s or the 60s. The church didn't approve. As I said, the men in the dresses with the incense and the shiny goblets thought it was too much drama. You know, too theatrical. There's lots of men in dresses and shiny goblets in my family who I adore, by the way. You know, that was a thing in the countryside in Ireland, the band Queencha. Then I was thinking about the Banshee and I was thinking about the Shioga, and this was all about Halloween. So the Fright Night show, we were recreating some of what happened at the Royal Albert Hall in the past. We were dealing with the ghosts of the Royal Albert Hall, one of which lived up in was the priest that built the organ in the 1870s, the Royal Albert Hall, whose ghost haunts the organ. We're dealing with him. We're dealing with the Victorian couple that lived in Box Live, that haunt Box 13. And Danny was popping around the hall with a cameraman showing all of these things. We made a table levitate in front of the Royal Philharmonic Concert Orchestra. It was a riot. It was just a riot. Danny Robbins is amazing. You should see him when he comes to Ireland. He's fantastic. There was a seance for the spirit of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle way back in the turn of the 20th century. So we recreated that. But, you know, Halloween is Irish.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted the end of the show to return. Oh, and by the way, we did a tribute to the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy, and a tribute to his family. Just a little, you know, thing from all of us musicians on stage. But the scariest piece in the world for me let's bring it back to the women and bring it back to Ireland. So I called it the original Scream Queen, an ode to the Banshee. We got some of the last recordings of the band Queencha, because I was thinking the Banshee, then we have the Shioga. So Banshee, ban woman, Shiog, fairy woman. Then you have the ban Queencha. You have the women, the mourning women, the crying women. So the Banshee, the Tuatha Dé Danann, the fairy people that were driven underground by the Firbolg, which is us. We're the descendants of the Firbolg. So the Halloween, we have our veil is, they come above ground, and apparently they kidnap some of us to become domestic servants. That's not very creative in my opinion, but anyway, the old chieftains would have donned the costumes to scare them back underground. Was she like Lucifer, was she cast out from the fairy people, and that's why she's above ground and doing the harbinger of doom? Is she a harbinger of doom, or is she the one that's creating the doom by doing a sort of a siren song and enticing us away with her? What is it? So all of this is in piece, you know, sort of asking all of these questions. So I absolutely completely mined East Galway. And I went and I asked some of my neighbours, and, oh, so-and-so heard the Banshee. Yeah. And, oh, yeah, I remember my grandmother talking about the Keeners. So I found that Sean Moncrief, who's grew up in Hasker, which is the next village over me, actually, Sean's, and this is typical Ireland, typical East Galway, Sean's grandniece is my niece. So I contacted his wife and producer, because they had a show where they had a guest on who had some of the last recordings of band Queencha. So I got some of the last recordings of the band Queencha and used them in the piece. So when you hear a woman screaming, it's not a sample, it is one of the band Queencha to make the scariest piece in the world. And then I was thinking, the old days, the funerals, you had the again, we were talking about earlier, the open casket, and we had the oh no. So I got one of the last recordings from Connemara of the old Shamnos. And we had that woman's voice as part of the piece as well, the Royal Phil playing underneath it. And then I went and I thought about the band Queencha showing up at the funeral. They're wailing outside. What's the family doing inside? They're saying the rosary, right? And I'm saying the rosary, but way back in the old days. And when we say the rosary, it's not out there. It's not a big pontification. It's in here. It's Hail Mary, full of grace, Lord is with thee, blessed art thou, and it's rhythmic and it's mumbled right, like this. I thought back in the day when they're singing, oh no, it would have been Shed of Hour, Tholand Frost, Tuncher, Not Spanny, which have been asked time, third for Nice, and Ivor Wajig, or in a pack unish, or Ura Washington, or Ura Washington, or Ura Wash, or Ura Wash, or Ura Wash. And I'm getting the rhythm, or Ura Wash, or Ura Wash, at the hour of our death, at the hour of our death, the hour of our death, at the hour of our death. Is she there at the hour of our death, the Banshee? Is that where she is? So I recorded myself saying the Shade of Hour and layered it and layered it and layered it. So when you're listening to the the royal fill going you hear mumbling underneath. All of a sudden the orchestra stops for a moment and you hear and then you hear the mumbling clearly then they start again, you hear the mumbling then the snare player has he picks up the rhythm of gets louder and louder and louder. The big organ up the back kicks in, bam bam. You heard the theme earlier on, but now it's in the big organ and the brass are playing.
Rather theatrical.
Louder. And you hear the band queen just shouting. Then it's louder. Bang! Lights out. Everything stops, and the lights went completely out of the Royal Albert Hall.
We got special permission to black out the Royal Albert Hall,
from
which
the
they
Borough
won't
of
let you do.
Westminster gave us
30 seconds. Exactly 30 seconds. Where like exit signs,
and
black.
You can't cover, so you can't shut off the exit signs, but the ushers cover them in black cloths.
Apparently, we don't know.
I don't know.
There's a rumor.
But of course, we'd everything timed, and I have, everything timed in my headset and my ears. Okay, I'm showing the man behind the curtain, because when the lights went out, the audience started cheering because they didn't, we had to warn people in advance, don't leave your seats until we told everybody that we would warn. We didn't tell them until the lights come on. I said, don't leave your seats until you see me turn around and tell you to leave your seats at the end. Lights went out, and all they heard was, I wanted them to feel like the Banshee was in the room with them. Now, this is me in Kilconnell recording myself, breathing into the microphone, but it comes from both sides, like lunatics, recording myself, and breathing, but it came from two different directions. The Royal Albert Hall, you hear from the very back, little kid, it's Mayella, our 6.5-year-old, and then you hear a woman weeping, desperately weeping, and the next thing, a big shoo, and bang, the lights are on, and everyone in the orchestra, big, huge dissonant chord, lights up, everything, and the organ at the back, and everything.
Of course, I'm hearing it, and poor Garry is sitting there going,
yeah, and that was the end of the scariest piece in the world.
What's in my head is I'm hoping this was recorded.
It was, but not. I think
we're going to do it again.
We're going to have to do it again next year, but we also have to. There's an entirely different pay grade when you're recording versus when you're just performing.
Okay.
So you can't really. I've got a cell phone recording.
Yeah.
But this was all talking about Galway, East Galway.
Completely East Galway. Why East Galway?
Why East Galway for film? Why East Galway for creativity? That was at the Royal Albert Hall, 100%
driven,
made, mined in the Irish Galwegian countryside, from stories from there. And there's so many stories to be told from this area. And from West Galway to East Galway, there's a completely, we talk about diversity. We're talking about different colours and cultures, and that is diversity. But there's a massive amount of diversity on this small island.
Yeah.
In this county, there's a massive, diverse number of stories to be told. We haven't touched them yet.
No.
We haven't. The story of the Banshee hasn't been told. That Darby O'Gill stuff is not. That ain't it, kid. We have this massive richness that we haven't even touched on. There's stories to be told in video games that tap into our heritage and culture. There is massive. Craig's writing a ghost story at the moment, and I sent him down to the pub the other day and said,
"That's the best wife ever."
Yeah. just go talk to them. But you didn't even expect what you got.
Oh, what I got! I end up, I'm talking to the people that I know. And they say, "Oh, well, you really need to talk to Michael. Michael is the historian. He's the one who knows all of these stories." So I spent 2.5 hours with him. Was it last night? Was the night before? Last night.
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
And I was completely and utterly in the thrall of it. I mean, I thought I knew things, but I didn't know anything. One of the things I loved him saying was, I'm an atheist, but I won't mess with a fairy fort.
Or a lone tree.
Or a lone tree.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, or no, lone bush.
Yeah.
There's a lone bush, you know. And he was going through, you know, the
one
things.
Field at our back kitchen window, by the way.
Just him going through, it's one person, they plowed through the lone bush, and the next day they broke his leg. You know,
So he was a skeptic.
He was a skeptic.
But there's so many stories from this area that haven't been told.
Yeah.
But
But this is just the tip of the iceberg. I have to go back and transcribe everything, because I was just, and then this happened, talking about this family, that family, and it's like, you know, and in 1365 when they built the abbey, but that, you know, 420 was when they did this, that, and the other, and it basically is going from pre-Christian days up in, and he even went into 11,000 years ago, and how when the Ice Age hit and came down and it basically bisected the entire country.
Yeah.
And how that left certain areas, and how the Ice Age completely affected the island, because literally went like halfway down the island before it retreated, which had complete geological and ecological and that's part of the entire culture of the island based on where the ice stopped.
Yeah, well, we have massive boulders that were deposited by the ice, and when it melted, they just left them there. We have them all over the country.
The glacier.
Okay, we're going off the deep end now, Garry. We're going off the deep end.
What's coming out next from yourselves?
We just had Bloodlines 2,
the Masquerade
come out. I'm working with Dara Sheridan on we're co-writing a book on a completely different topic that has to do with leadership
and nonverbal
communication. I'm really excited about, because Dara is a former Aston Villa soccer player who did a PhD in sports psychology, then worked with the All Blacks in New Zealand, then became the lead psychologist for the IRFU, and now is out doing his own thing. And
is a Galway man.
Is a Galway man to the core.
Yeah.
We're planning on doing something worldwide with that I'm very, very excited about, because these are the things that I live with orchestras on a weekly basis.
But you're also, Eímear's conducting the Seattle Symphony in January. She's going to conduct the Chicago Symphony Orchestra at Ravinia, which for me so Ravinia would be the Hollywood Bowl of Chicago.
Okay.
You know, there's 5,000 in the pavilion. You can have 20,000 people there with the Chicago Symphony. When I was a kid, my parents had subscriptions.
Yeah,
you know, we'd go to the Chicago
dream
Symphony.
To conduct the Chicago Symphony. They're one of the finest. As well as San Francisco, two of the finest orchestras in the world.
But so Eímear's got that. Then she's also doing the public speaking about nonverbal communication. And then
Seattle. I'm back in Germany. I'm in Poland. I'm in China. I'm in tour of Asia. I'm in
Calgary.
I'm in Canada. I'm in back in the UK. Recording an album for Apple 2026.
Oh wow, brilliant!
But then there's also
I'm forgetting a ton of stuff.
So I'm going to put this out there because, and I think I've ever said
Norway.
I've never said this in public yet because I've just been kind of quiet about it. I've written an animated musical, writing an animated musical. It's something that I started about 15 years ago and recently rekindled it with. At the behest of Screen Ireland and Kirsten Sheridan.
Yeah.
That's the big one, is that Kirsten said, you told me that story about that cricket. I said, it's about this girl cricket who all she wants to do is sing, but if you know anything about crickets, it's only the boy crickets that sing. It took me 10 years to figure out that basically the cricket was Eímear. Because she's not, you're not supposed to conduct orchestras, you're a woman, that kind of thing. And so it's been through a few different ideas, but it was really Kirsten who helped me codify the story in a way that really works, that got the pitch done to Screen Ireland, that got them to give us the money. And so Kirsten and I literally last week finished the draft. Eímear and I are writing all the music and all the songs.
Excellent.
This is kind of my my first foray into that. I've never written a script before, and I'm just surprised that it seems to be working and that people like it. And we finished it last week, and we're just now starting to send it out to do the next step, which is to raise the funds for us to be able to finish all the songs and do all of that element to it, with the idea towards doing it as an animated feature, an animated musical. Yeah. And what I will say is this: the timing for it is just beyond coincidental. I think that there's a divine intervention. If I had finished this 15 years ago when I first started, it wouldn't have the impact that it has now, and specifically why. Last week in the United States, the number one downloaded piece of country music was created by AI. In the story of Aria, it's kind of a Ratatouille thing, where Aria is the cricket who teams up with the chef, who's the lowly engineer, and it's the battle between Capitol Record Studios and live musicians battling Granite Studios, who you've got rows of guys sitting there with laptops creating AI music. That's the whole thing of the movie, is they're all competing against each other, and like the Nigel Strumthorpe is the guy who runs. Eímear came up with that name. That's a good Scumthorpe. Sorry, Scumthorpe. Eímear came up with that name. He runs Granite Studios. There's a point of what I was going to say, but that's the battles between the two. He's music by the pound. That's what I was getting to. Music by the pound. He writes music by the pound, and he's all about the cash. And it's like the timing of this can't be coincidental. So I'm hoping that this first draft that we get out there will get us to the next level. Thank you, Screen Ireland, for, that's the other thing about being an Irish filmmaker. You don't have opportunities like that.
It's the validation
in America or something.
Belief in you as well. And it's yeah. Oh, can I just say I forgot about a few things.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
in Italy in a few weeks.
Yeah, you're in Catania.
Shout out to the LA Chamber Orchestra. I'm writing a flute concerto for them.
Oh, cool. The Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra.
Yeah, so
that's also one of the absolute most magnificent ensembles in the world, I think, is the LA Chamber Orchestra.
Absolutely fantastic.
Those are a lot. Mostly,
I definitely want to see it live in concert.
Yeah,
well, the LA Chamber Orchestra are all the best. You see, a lot of times the best studio musicians in LA don't play in the LA Phil, but they play in the LA Chamber Orchestra.
It's a busy one this year. It's a busy one.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Unknown territory ahead with, I suppose, earlier you were saying music is kind of neutered a little bit now in movies, and you have this AI and Paul McCartney releasing a blank song, I believe, online in defiance of AI.
Yeah.
And what's going on. It's
also country music is, like, to me, is one of the most human stories. That country music, there's so many country artists I love, and often I think also what Irish people love about country music is the story in the song about the human experience, and it's about being, often it's about being down on your luck or down on your love, and coming out of that. And for AI to take all of that human experience and just bloody well copy it and spit out some sort of fake lived experience, carbon cop, that makes me, that's like it's like the worst genre to copy. It's almost the worst genre to copy.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah.
And it's also like record labels, what are you doing? You're going, woohoo, we can use all of our budget now for marketing to get this right up the top of the charts and get our algorithms and our guys running the algorithms to get it into everybody's inboxes and in front of everybody's face. So we don't have to pay artists. It makes good business sense. Woo!
Yeah.
So we start on the downer and we finish on the downer. That's the West of Ireland.
Yeah, that's the West of Ireland. Yeah.
Look, continued success. You're doing absolutely amazing. And look, there's no doubt we can certainly do a talk one of the days on the detriment of AI to many creative elements in all industries.
You don't have to. You can just AI the whole talk. We don't even have to be
here.
Just let AI imagine what we might say
about
it.
Yeah. No, we wouldn't have definitely wouldn't have gotten the great stories that we got today. So thank you so much for sharing and for coming in to talk to me today.
Thank you, Garry.
Garry Talks Film, kindly supported by Grace on Demand, Skillnet, and the Rap Commission.